Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soul Seekers podcast, where we believe that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure as we share our mission of mentorship is conservation. To learn more about everything we do, check out our show on Carbon TV or go to soulseekersnation.com. Freedom on, everybody, and stay soulful. This podcast is also proudly brought to you by onX Hunt. When I first got into hunting, I kept hearing all about public land and different access and how to find different locations to hunt. I was like, well, how are people even identifying all this stuff? Well, sure enough, I came across the number one hunting GPS app, and that is onX Hunt. If you guys want to get better at hunting and go deeper into your scouting, onX Hunt is the number one GPS app for that. Join the millions of hunters who trust onX Hunt to find more game, discover new access, and hunt smarter. It was a game changer for me, and I know it's going to be a game changer for you if you've never used it. If you have used it, you know the power that it holds. Guys, I really hope you enjoy this episode. If you want to know more about onX, go to onxmaps.com/hunt and check out their app. Be blessed, freedom on, and stay soulful. All right, guys, if you're in the market for a new hunting rifle this coming year, look no further than a Kelbly's rifle. I've been rocking their Koda rifle for the last couple seasons, and I've had great success with it. It's an amazing shooter, and every time I put one of their rifles in somebody's hands, they're like, oh, I got to get one of these. Kelbly's holds over 92 world and national records that are either broken or set on one of their actions or rifles. So they really set a higher level of accuracy. If you want to know more about Kelbly's rifles, go to kelbly.com. That's KELBLY.com. Tell them Johnny Mack sent you with Soul Seekers, and go enjoy shooting that much more in this coming hunting season. Be blessed, everybody. Go check out Kelbly Rifles. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Seekers podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mack, and I am joined by probably one of the coolest fanboys out in the hunting industry. And when I say fanboys, I don't mean somebody who is a fan of the Soul Seekers podcast. I'm saying when you meet this person, you're going to be a fanboy of them because he has been on this podcast before and he is all around amazing individual. He's also co-founder of Type 3 Life for men. So men, if you're looking for community and you want to get involved in the outdoors and build relationships, go check out Type 3 Life. But without further ado, my man, Mr. Paul Ronto from onX. We're going to be talking about how you need to start focusing on a strategy for hunting out west. Gone are the days of shooting from the hip and being like, what state do we want to go to? Oh, let's go get an over-the-counter tag here. Let's go mule deer here, elk here, bam, bam, bam. It's not like that anymore. The game has changed, and the game is going to be brand new, and it's time for us to start shifting how we think about that. And a part of that is using apps and resources such as onX to help us on our journey. So without further ado, my man, Mr. Ronto himself, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, hey, man. Nice to be back, J-Mac. It's awesome. Super pumped. We're in the middle of application season. It's turkey season out west. It's turkey season in the south and in the east. It's a good time of year. Yeah, I'm pumped to be back on the pod. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. You're a turkey nut.
Yeah, I love turkey hunting, man. It's I absolutely love turkey hunting. I take time in the fall when people think you shouldn't be turkey hunting. The fall turkey hunt, like that's how much I love it.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so I was this year, I'm like, all right, I got my hunting lease. I got some turkeys that are on my lease. Well, I've seen them pass through hens. I've never actually seen any toms on my lease. I'm going spring turkey hunting. I'm going to kill my very first spring bird this year. And you know what? It didn't happen. Not because I wasn't out there hunting. It was because I wasn't out there hunting. Yeah. And my wife, she had a surgery that we ended up bumping up by 3 months, and her recovery date interlapped with my dates for turkey. And let's just say a happy wife, happy life is more important, and there will be another gobbler that I'll get to chase at some point.
Yeah, there'll be another gobbler for sure. You know, turkey hunting is one of those things that, well, first of all, you got to focus on your family, and if your wife's gotten surgery and had recovery, it's hard to get out. The nice thing about turkey in my world is I can go do it for a morning and be back by 10, 11, maybe noon. And then I can go see my wife and we can do something together in the afternoon. And so it's a little different than those big elk hunts out west where you're gone for 10 days and you're in the woods and you have no contact. So turkey hunting is great because it's longer seasons than the big game seasons for me out here in Colorado, but I can go frequently and I can go for shorter durations, and so it doesn't feel like such a big commitment. And I love it because you can do it for 2 months in the spring and 2 months again in the fall. So you can hunt turkey hunt for 4 months out here in Colorado, which is awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, as much as I really want to kill spring turkey, I really want to kill a spring bear, and so that's like where my heart is. And you killed your very first bear this last fall, which was epic. We talked about that on the last time we podcasted, and I'm just like, all right, here we go. So my wife, she was like, hey, when are you leaving? I was like, oh, I'm leaving on the night of the 30th. She goes, when are you going to be back? I was like, I'm going to be back on the 5th. She's like, you're gone like almost a week. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, we don't have spring bear here in Colorado anymore. That went to the wayside long ago, which is what we're going to talk a lot about on this podcast today. But so turkey is it in the spring here in Colorado, and we're lucky because we can go up to Wyoming for turkey. We can get out to Nebraska. We can hit South Dakota. So there's a lot of states right here. I'm in northeast Colorado. So there's a lot of places that I can hit in a weekend and go chase birds. And unfortunately, no bear hunting here. So I'd have to go to Wyoming or potentially Montana for a spring bear hunt, maybe Idaho. And usually spring is not time for me to be chasing big game. It's time for me to be chasing birds and getting ready for summer. And like you said, I've got lots of plans always with Type 3 Life and with Onyx. So it's good to not have too much stuff going on in the spring for me.
Yeah. You and I were going to plan a spring bear hunt together, and there was so much shakeup this last winter that this next year, let's just make it happen.
Let's do it. I want to do it big time. I tentatively planned to do a Montana bear hunt this spring, but work got in the way and other things got in the way. And so it fell to the wayside, unfortunately. So next year's going to have to be the year to make it happen.
There you go. Love it. All right, brother. Well, what's up with Onyx? We know that we led into the podcast with the idea that we need to start having a hunting strategy for hunting out west. Onyx is always pushing the limit on new creations and new ways to help hunters and help public land access and all that. So what's going on with them?
Yeah, the big thing with Onyx right now is it's application season. So out west in 12 Western states, obviously you've got to put in for great tags. The days of over-the-counter tags are mostly gone. There's a couple states that still offer some OTC elk hunts and some archery hunts that are over-the-counter. But for the most part, deer, antelope, elk, all your big game, moose, sheep, goat, obviously, all is done through draws. And so to get a hunt in the fall, you really got to be thinking in the spring what you want to hunt. Long gone are the days of stopping at Walmart on the way into town and grabbing a tag. Colorado, with winter kill problems a couple years ago, took away some of the OTC opportunities. They shortened seasons. And so it's getting harder and harder to hunt out west. Quotas have gone down. Elk herds got hurt a couple of years ago with that winter kill, like I was mentioning. And so, if you want to have a great hunt out west, you really got to have a strategy. You got to have a plan. You can't just put in for the same unit anymore. The same unit that you might have put in for the last 10 years that was 100% with no points might now take a couple points. And so I think it's crucial before you apply, you start looking through draw odds. You use some of the tools like what Onyx came out with this year called Hunt Research Tools. You use some of the resources like Hunt Reminder, Hunt and Fool. You get all that stuff for free with Onyx Elite, but use that stuff to really develop a strategy and figure out where to go before you apply. Don't figure out where to go after the application season is over and you either are expecting to go OTC or get a leftover tag, or you're just expecting to go back to the same unit you've gone for the last 10 years. I hunted a unit up in northwest Colorado for 17 years, and I had 100% success rate on elk up there for 17 years. We worked our butts off. We really understood this unit. And 2 years ago, 89% of that herd got killed by winter kill. And so we left it, and we had to completely reimagine where we wanted to hunt in the state of Colorado as residents. And so we went from these hunters that really understood our unit and where the herds were going to be to basically new hunters in a totally different part of the state, chasing different animals over different terrain. And it was a learning experience. And so I think it's crucial. If you want to get good hunts, you got to draw them. You can't expect to just get good over-the-counter units anymore. And you got to have a strategy, because there's a lot of units that might only take a point or two, but they might be tough units to hunt. They might not meet your physical fitness. They might not have great herd health. And so if you want good opportunities, you got to understand harvest ratios. You got to understand the health of the animals in that area. You got to understand the habitat and what happened over the winter. And so it just takes some time sitting down and doing research before you actually push that apply button.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's interesting. So I applied. I'm waiting on Utah draw. One of my biggest frustrations, and I'll just say this for all hunters that want to hunt out of state in different states, is it costs so much money.
Oh, man.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, man, I don't even have enough money to. And then inflation's a butt kicker, and we're a little skimpy in the Mac house lately. But it's like I don't even have what I feel confident enough funds to buy points in different states, because they require you to also buy a hunting license. And then it's like a couple hundred here, a couple hundred here, boom, boom, boom. And then you're like, dude, I haven't even bought my tag.
Yeah, a huge part of the strategy you got to figure out is what your budget is. I mean, there's a lot of hunters out there that can't afford to apply in all 12 Western states and potentially hunt in their home state, whether that's in the West or not. Yeah, like you said, some of these application fees are crazy expensive. I mean, Washington's draw deadline is coming up here, I think next week, and it's $110 to apply per species, and it's non-refundable. So every species you put in for is $110. You go to New Mexico, you got to pay for that non-resident hunting license, and then once you pay for that, it's a couple $100. And so you do that in a couple states, you're already a thousand or two in before you even get a tag. Let alone the cost of the tags. Tag costs have gone up and up. I think Colorado for non-residents might still be one of the cheapest at around $760 or something for a non-resident elk tag. I mean, you go to Wyoming, it's $1,200, and if you put in for the special draw, it's $2,000. So, I mean, it's expensive to play this game out west, and $2,000 for a non-resident elk hunt in Wyoming. You skip a couple of those years and you can head to Alaska. So it's all about strategy, figuring out where you can hunt, but also where you can afford to hunt. And so take advantage of the states that have cheap or cheaper application fees, so you're not spending a ton of money on application fees. So if you get a tag, you can actually afford that tag and afford gas to go and do the hunt. And and find states. I mean, New Mexico is expensive to get that hunting license, but there's strategy there. You only pay for the hunting license, and then there's no additional fees for every species. So in New Mexico, you pay once, and then you can put in for every single species. Now, if you're just putting in for elk, that might be a little bit of a waste of your money. But if you're putting in for deer, elk, antelope, Gibbs-buck, I mean, if you put in for everything, then you're spreading that value out a little bit. So there's a lot of strategies out there to figure out how to get the most bang for your buck, for sure.
It's really interesting to think about, because I'm newer to the Western hunting application game. For the longest time, I just wanted to hunt my own state and learn to hunt my own state. Like, why would I travel and pay more to hunt these other states when I still am trying to figure out the animals here? Well, everything is, we mature and we grow, and it's a journey. And so, we want to see new land and have new experiences. I don't want to sit on the same stump year after year. I don't want to go to the same location year after year, because I feel like I'm not getting better as a hunter. One thing that I have learned, I just want to throw this out there real quick when it comes to spring bear seasons, is I'm looking around at these different states, and I'm like, okay, what can I get an over-the-counter tag for that's relatively cheap? I'm renting a car, I bought a airline ticket, and I bought a bear and wolf tag in Idaho. I mean, if you're not having to rent a car, or if you have points for airline miles or whatever, you can get up there, depending on what state you're coming from, for around like $1,500 for a hunt, which is pretty phenomenal. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm looking forward to over-the-counter spring bear hunt, but then this fall drawing non-res elk tag in the state of Utah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think obviously price is super crucial, but I think one of the reasons to hunt away from your home state is to have a new experience. Obviously, going to Colorado or going to Utah or going to Montana is going to be totally different than hunting in Texas. But even as a Colorado resident, hunting in the northern part of the state is very different than hunting in the southern part of the state. And so a couple of years ago, like I said, we had to switch our units, and it was a completely new experience. We used to hunt third season in the cold in November, knee-deep snow, and we switched it to first season down south. It was 70 degrees last year. We were at 13,000 feet. Totally different hunting experience. And I think for me as a hunter, what feels like I'm getting good at hunting is when I go somewhere new and I can find success.
Yeah.
You take these skills you have in a piece of land that and see if you can apply them somewhere new. And that to me is a challenge. And that's what I love. That's what I love about going to new places. And so what I tend to do is I go to one new hunt every year. And then I usually do one or two hunts that is in a place I know well. And so every year I'm either doing a new species in a new area or a species I've hunted for years, but in a completely new zone or a different season or a different method to take, whether it's muzzleloader or archery. And I think that is the experience I'm looking for to become a better hunter. I can hunt the same unit for 17 years with a rifle and be very successful, but I didn't know if I actually knew anything. And when I went to new units, a lot of it did translate, but I got to see new stuff. It was a whole new adventure. And so, yeah, I think, taking these opportunities to go new places, to me, is fun. I'd rather go hunt somewhere new and learn something than ultimately be successful in harvesting an animal. Now, I want to harvest animals too, but to me, the fun is being out there and doing something new and having an adventure. And so I love the idea of changing it up. And that's hard for a lot of hunters. A lot of hunters want to hunt the same unit. They want to go to their hunting cabin. They want to do the same thing. I'm from Northern Illinois. You go and hunt the same 40 acres every single year. You don't need onX for the most part. You can go, those 40 acres like the back of your hand. But, with tools like onX, it makes it easy to go to a new unit, find access, find public land, get into places that are unique. And to me, that's the most fun about hunting out west is like every hunt, whether it's a spring bear or, an early season antelope tag or a late season elk tag high up in the mountains. It's a totally new experience every time you set foot out there.
Yeah. I will say that over the last couple of years, the more conversations I have about out-of-state hunting or just really hunting in general, I find more people have onX now than they ever have before, by the way.
Yeah. Everyone I meet out there, I'm always wearing onX gear, and everyone I meet out there is an onX user. I ask them, I usually have stickers and stuff I hand out when I see people, and got a couple hats in my truck. And I always ask, you an onX user? And I say, oh yeah, I love this thing. It gets me to where I need to go. So it's pretty impressive to see everyone using it. Obviously out west, there's a lot of use cases for it. We've got a ton of tools just in the app itself with the map. That's super crucial. But we've got application season tools to help you apply. We've got tools for the Eastern hunter, which include, you can hook your trail cams now up to onX and import your cell cam photos right to your onX account and manage them all there in one place rather than having to go on multiple trail cam websites to look at all your photos. So, it's an indispensable tool, I think, for hunters. For me personally, it just allows me to hunt new places without ever having stepped foot. Like I don't tend to do these long scouting trips anymore, weeks before my hunt. Instead, I spend a lot of time at home focused on e-scouting. And when I get to the woods, I have a couple places I want to go check out the first day or two. And I kind of do, some actual scouting the first day or two of the hunt. And then I'll fall into the hunt by day 3 or 4 and really understand the area I'm hunting. And I couldn't do that, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was like I used to spend half my summer going to different places to look for elk. And it was a lot of time. And I enjoyed it, but I'm busy. I'm busier now. I'm not in my 20s anymore. And I can't take every weekend to go chase around elk in the middle of summer. So it really has made it easier to do more hunts rather than focusing all my time on one hunt. And I don't know if I could hunt in the West without it.
Yeah, I had a guest on my podcast recently. Actually, the episode I just released this week, John McAdams, he's the host of the Big Game Hunting podcast, and he is former military, and he was like, yeah, how did he put this? He said, newbies, he didn't use the word newbies. Rookies focus on on oh my gosh, I'm drawing a total blank right now. Oh, newbies focus on specifics, masters focus on logistics.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
I think like having the tools to help you really have a strategy, that's mastery of being a hunter. Like going out in the woods and just hoping to stumble across elk, hoping to stumble across a nice mule deer, anyone can do that. But having the knowledge to understand where these animals are going to be, where they bed, where they feed, where there's cover for them, and they feel like they have some safety, understanding how to get into public land from different angles, like that becomes mastery. And these tools really help you master that part of the hunt. It's interesting too, talking about having a strategy. Like we talk about alpha and beta hunters a lot in my group of friends and with some of the guys at Onyx. And these alpha hunters are the hunters who are masters at their craft, right? They understand the draw. They have been pulling PDFs from the state and looking through draw odds and draw results for a decade. They have their own spreadsheets. Then there's the beta hunter who has always put in for the same unit, maybe wants to have a better hunt. And so they've never really looked through draw odds. They don't know even really technically where to find them maybe, or how to read the PDF from the state. And what's interesting is there can be an alpha in one species and method of take or one unit. And when they leave, they go to a new state, they hunt a new species, they may become a beta. So you got to relearn all this stuff. Like I've never hunted Montana. And if I go to Montana on an elk hunt, even though I've been elk hunting in Colorado for 25 years, I am going to be a beta. Now, all my skills in the field might be great, but I don't know how to apply for Montana. I don't know where the good units are. I don't know what the elk are doing up there. I don't know how the seasons are different being 1,000 miles further north.
mm-hmm.
There's, again, just a ton to learn. So even though you might be a master hunter in one regard, it doesn't mean you're a master hunter in all regards. And that's, again, where I think it's really important to have a strategy. You get these guys that come out from Wisconsin, they're deer hunters, they've been hunting for 40 years, and they're great hunters. They come out and try to do an elk hunt, and they get skunked.
Yeah.
And it's like they've started over again. They're beta hunters again. And they know how to shoot a gun. They've got their gear, they got their camo, but it's a whole new sport. And so I think that's part of having a strategy, is totally understanding where you're going, the species you're after, your method of take. And again, I think that starts today. That starts now in the spring before you ever apply for a tag. Now we're halfway through application season, so a lot of applications are behind us, but there's still a few that are coming. Montana antelope, there's Washington, California, there's some Oregon stuff coming up. Like there's still a few draws to come, but it's now is the time to make that plan to have a successful hunt in the fall. If you just say whatever, I'll go hunt wherever and I'll just take whatever unit I can get, you're probably not going to be as successful as if you do this research up front and figure out what unit has better success rates, what unit has more bulls to cow ratios, what unit has a good herd health that's on the increase and tag quotas are going up. Like that's all stuff to learn now, and pick your unit based on some of those metrics rather than just picking your unit because your hunt buddy told you that's where you're going, or because it's the unit you've hunted for the last 15 years.
All right. So excuse my ignorance right here, but break this down a little bit. Can you give us an example of what this might look like by going through the hunt research tools or
Yeah, totally. So let's see here. Let's look and see who's got a draw coming up here. We got Utah on April 25th.
Well, here, do Utah elk, because that's what I'm in for.
Yeah, totally. And that's coming up in a couple. Well, that was April 25th. So that's actually passed. Sorry, I'm getting my dates messed up. But we can do Utah anyway. The deadline is passed, but we got a couple coming up. We got Nevada in 2 days. We got Oregon on the 15th. We got Washington on the 15th. So yeah, let's do Utah for an example. It's passed, so won't change anyone's mind. So hunt research tools, if you're an elite user with OnX, you get free access to this. You can find it by going to our web map, or it's in the elite benefits on your phone when you're in the OnX app. It works best on your desktop right now. We do have it on mobile, but there's a lot of data, so it helps a ton to look at it on your desktop. And the first thing you'll notice when you log into this tool is there's a bunch of filters at the top. And so the first filter is for your species. So I'm going to pick elk, and then you can pick male or female. Let's pick just male. Now, if you pick male, you're going to see male and either sex tags. So you will get some of those tags that are either sex, and you could potentially kill a cow. But let's pick male. We'll pick Utah on the state selector, and then any hunt. You can either pick any hunt or youth or veteran. So if you're not youth or you're not veteran, make sure you just pick any hunt. And then let's go with you're a rifle hunter or archery hunter primarily?
Rifle for deer, archery for elk. But
yeah, let's do archery. And then let's just leave the dates flexible. The date selector is only really useful if you want to pick very specific dates because you know you can only get away for a week or two in the fall. But that's going to limit your results drastically. So then you hit the big red button and it'll fire off your results list. Now, the way this is going to sort by default is it's going to show you what hunts you have with the highest draw odds. Now, there's a bunch of ways you can filter this. So you can filter by draw odds or harvest rate or hunting pressure or how much public land is in a unit. So there's a lot of different metrics that you can determine if a unit's right for you. And then you can sort from low to high or high to low. And so let's look at draw odds, high to low. And right off the bat, I can see the cash Meadowville unit, which is EB3168.
Yep.
That's a elk tag. This is a December hunt, December 2nd through December 17th. 100% draw rate. There's only one tag. So not a lot of people apply for this. So that tells me a little right there. Like this might be a really hard hunt. There's no harvest rate on this from last year. So there's no data telling us how much harvest rate there was. And there's 157 square miles on this unit of public land. So there's a ton of public land. It's going to make me figure this out. There's a map too in Hunt Research Tools. So I'm looking at the map right now. I click on that unit and the map shows me there's a ton of BLM land. Now, I'm not a Utah hunter. I'm a Colorado hunter. And normally I don't see a lot of elk in BLM land. BLM lands tend to be low elevation. They tend to be flat grasslands. Now, I like to hunt elk in the high alpine, up in the mountains and the aspens and the pine forest. And so just looking at that without knowing much about Utah, this would probably not fit my hunting style. There's too much land. I can't focus it anywhere, and it's a lot of BLM. So I'm probably going to pass on this unit. And I'm going to scroll down a little further and find other units that might meet my criteria. And so ultimately, this tool is going to show you every unit, what your draw odds are. If you have points in those states, you can go into your profile and add your points, and this will individually adjust to your situation. So if you got a bunch of points, it'll tell you your draw percentage at those points. And you can find a unit that meets the criteria for how many points you have, for what the draw odds are, but also harvest rate and amount of public land. Like there's a lot of things that go into me deciding what unit's going to be right for me.
Okay, so I am 3 points on elk in Utah. So I already put that in on my profile. So I'm looking at my Onyx maps on my desktop right now while we do this as well. So I have that. I have it in there. And then I go back to draw odds. It's automatically going to apply those 3 points to that percentage.
Yeah, so I just went in and mimicked yours. So I just threw in 3 points for elk in Utah. So it's really quick and easy. You go into your profile, which is the button up in the upper right-hand corner. You add your points for each species for every state that you got them. And then, yeah, it's going to recalculate the draw odds based on your specific scenario. And so with 3 points, now I'm looking at, there's a couple more units like the Cache South unit, which is a 76% draw odds with 3 points. There's the South Slope of Diamond Mountain. That one looks good to me. Diamond Mountain. Potentially South Cache could be good. South Cache, this is interesting. Let's click on this South Cache unit. It's EB3170. That's the hunt code. And 76% with 3 points. So most likely I've got a pretty good chance of getting it. There's only one tag for this season. This is, again, a December archery season. But when I look at the map, there's a ton of national forest. There's a ton of mountains. Logan is in there, Boulder Mountain, 7,500, 9,000 feet. So that's where I am comfortable hunting, between 7,000, 10,000 feet. That's where I know to find elk. Now, December, that's a tough time to hunt elk at those elevations. So maybe they'll be snowed in. Maybe I got to be looking in the valleys. So this is all the stuff I'm doing, And like you said, while I have Hunt Research Tools open, I'm also going to have my Onyx web map open. And I'm going to be looking at the same unit. And what's cool is if you click the See More and Onyx button in the map on Hunt Research Tools, you're going to open up your web map in another window exactly to that same unit. So you don't have to go searching for that unit again. You can find it exactly the same view. And then I can start playing around with the layers I can look at if there was any recent burns. I can look at some drought layers. I can look at a bunch of stuff and start understanding this unit a little bit better before I ever apply. Because again, for me to be successful on a hunt, I need to know that there's a good opportunity, that there's going to be elk there when I'm there, that there's going to be elk in the elevation that I expect them to be.
Right.
I know I want to go in. If I just fly by the seat of my pants and show up the Friday before season opens, I'm most likely not going to be having a successful hunt. So I want to do all this in the spring before I ever even put in for a tag.
Man, that's good. Okay, so I'm going back here. I put in for a specific unit that I can't imagine is going to be very high draw odds.
Utah's tough too. Utah's a tough state. Utah has tougher draw odds, especially for non-residents. So for those of you non-residents looking to come out west, there are some easier states. Colorado being one of the easiest because there's still over-the-counter elk tags. Utah does have some over-the-counter opportunity, but there's some over-the-counter draw odds. And one of the plans for this tools in the future is to have those over-the-counter opportunities. So even if you are someone that's going to go over the counter, you could determine what unit's right for you based on harvest statistics, based on public land metrics, based on looking at the map and determining where those elk might be when you're going to be there. Mm-hmm. And so goal long-term is to have more hunting opportunities in here, not just the draw opportunities, but the over-the-counter opportunities as well.
I got 1% chance of drawing my elk tag.
Well, that's tough. But the good news is you still got a chance. And a lot of people, what they'll tend to do out west is they'll put in for points until they have enough points to determine if they can actually put in for the draw. And unfortunately, that's a waste of time. You should always be putting in for a unit. If you don't get it, you'll get a point. But if you put in for a point, you're guaranteed not to be getting the hunt. So right. Put in for units that you think you want to hunt. There's short-term and long-term strategies. So some of the short-term strategies obviously would be to put in for units that you know you can get in the next year or two in states and species that you want to hunt. And long-term strategies might be looking at these ones that are 1% and 2% draw odds and continuing to gain points in those states.
Okay.
So, there's a balance there between long-term and short-term for sure. For me, I want to hunt every year. I don't want to just put in for points for 20 years and hunt in 20 years. And so I play this game by diversifying, by putting in for multiple states, for multiple species. I try to put in for hunts where I can get multiple tags. So there's some strategy around that in the West too. You're not just limited to one elk tag in Colorado. If you can find a way to get a B tag or a C tag, then you can also get one of those over-the-counter A tags. So you could potentially have 2 elk tags in your pocket. So there's a lot of strategy here to determine what's right for you. Okay. You want to hunt every year, or you want to save up some points and money and come out every 5 years or every 3 years. You could hunt things like cow tags. You can come out on a cow hunt and get an over-the-counter, or not an over-the-counter. You can get a leftover cow tag in Colorado or some of these states. So those don't take points. Your second choice usually doesn't take points. A leftover tag doesn't take points. Over-the-counter tags don't take points. So you could be building points in states where you have the opportunity to find tags that don't take points. So every 4 or 5 years, then you can go on a higher quality hunt potentially with those points while continuing to hunt in the off years.
I like that. Yeah, that was what my plan on Utah was, to go hunt cows or spikes if I didn't. I'm knocking on wood. I'm drawing a bull tag.
A lot of people think that they just have to go for the big bucks and the bulls, and there's a lot of opportunity to just be out there hunting. And if you want meat and you want experience and you want to start getting a feel for that state or that unit, go out and do a cow hunt in that unit for a year or two until you really figure it out, and then put in and try to use your points on that bull tag. I think that's a great strategy.
Yeah, I love it. Let's do one more. Let's do one. So I have 4 points in Wyoming, and I want to hunt antelope. Never been. And right. I want to get I want to have a high harvest rate. I'm not concerned about like trophy or, Boone and Crockett antelope. I just want to go up there and have an experience.
For sure. So yeah, let's put in antelope Wyoming. I went and put my points in, 4 points for antelope Wyoming. Let's change this to rifle.
And we'll go male.
Antelope challenge with a bow and arrow for sure. So you got 4 points. So right off the bat,
I put the male in, by the way, also.
Yep.
Okay.
Male. Yep. Got it. This actually works for me too, because I've got 5 points antelope in Wyoming. I don't know if I'm going to burn them this year or not, but so we're looking for the same thing. The antelope draw for Wyoming, I think, is still coming. Maybe we missed it.
Maybe
April 3rd.
hold out on your points and let's put in next year together.
Yeah, it looks like Montana antelope is still coming. So, but yeah, let's look at Wyoming right off the bat. When I put in antelope male, Wyoming, any hunt, rifle, flexible on dates, I see a whole bunch of 100% units at 4 points. So there's a ton. I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. It probably, let's see here. I think I've probably got 50 options before I get to ones that are under 4 points.
Holy smokes.
So ultimately, there's a lot of options here. And what we show on Wyoming antelope is you got your draw odds at what's called my points, and we got min points. That's the preference point break even level. So you'll see on this first one, unit 45, that takes 4 points. That's 100% at 4 points, but it's also 100% at 2 points. So that's a 2-point unit. And so you're not getting the maximum out of your 4 points. So what I would suggest is try to find the unit that takes 4 points.
Is there a way to filter that?
What's that?
Is there a way to filter that?
Right now, you can't filter by preference points, but we are trying to add that. So as you scroll down, you'll see like the third option here says 9.7% at 2 points. And so I'll explain how preference points works for those of you guys listening that don't totally understand. But ultimately, preference points work in these states where the people with the most points are the first in line for the tags. And there's what we call a break-even point on tags. And so this one that says 9.7% at 2 points, that means last year when we pulled this data, every person that had 0 or 1 point did not get this tag. Anyone with 2 points, 9.7% of those people got the tag, and anyone with 3 points or higher, 100% of people got that tag. So ultimately what this is saying is that if you have 3 points, you're guaranteed this tag. If you have 2 points, you have a choice, you have a potential option to get this tag, but it's not guaranteed. And so I would call this a 3-point unit. It's guaranteed at 3 points. And so I would keep scrolling down. I wouldn't probably waste 4 points on a 2-point unit.
There's only 3 tags given also.
I would look for a 3-point unit or 4-point unit. Yeah. And also with 3 tags given, that can be a challenge. There's not a lot of hunting pressure, but that also may mean there's not a lot of antelope. So one of the things you can actually do as well on Hunt Research Tools is you can click the little caret there on the right-hand side of the result card, and that'll take you into the unit. So these are called the unit pages. And you can actually start to see on these unit pages, there's some graphs and charts that show how many tags have been available over the years. So I'm looking at Hunt Unit 30, and I can see that, in 2020, there was 379 tags. In 2023, there was only 300 tags. So that's showing me, and that's for residents. For non-residents, there was 150 tags in 2020 and 45 tags in 2023. And so that's telling me that the herd health is probably going down a bit. They're starting to be a little stingier on tags. So that means there's maybe not as many mature animals in that unit. And then you'll also see the next one is how many applicants. The applicant numbers have gone up. So back in 2016, for residents, there was 296 applicants, first choice applicants. And in 2023, there was 491.
All right, you pause for me, because where are you getting this information at?
So if
I'm trying to track along on my software in case anyone wants to do this while they listen to this episode.
So let's go back to the results. I scroll down to the third result, which was unit 30.
Yep, I'm there.
I click on the little caret arrow on the right-hand side of the result card.
Yep.
That'll open up what we call the unit page. And now click on this. So we're under where it says hunts in unit 30. There is an antelope rifle type 1.
Yep.
Click on that.
Oh, I see. There's another drop down below it. Okay.
Yeah, so now you can scroll down and you can see all this data that we have for the last, 8 or 9 years. And you can start seeing the trends. And this is really important because the trend I'm seeing in this unit 30 is tags are going down. The quota is going down. Applicants, number of first choice applicants is going up. So more people want to hunt it for less tags. So that means it's getting harder to get this. This used to be a 0-point tag back in 2016. Now it's a 2-point tag in 2023. So it's getting harder and there's less animals. So there's more pressure on this unit and it may not be as healthy as potentially some other units that have more tags available. So So that's telling me a little bit about just the unit health. So then I would go back potentially to the search results and I would look at the next one. And so I'd go down these until I found the right one for me. I want to find one that maximizes my points. So I want to use all 4 points. So if I scroll down, there's one that is 60%. It's unit 71. It's 60% at 3 points. So again, that means that anyone with 3 points had a 60% chance of getting this tag last year, and anyone with 4 points or above was 100%. So that one means at 4 points this year, I'm going to be 100%, but I'm not wasting a bunch of points by applying for a 1 point unit. There's 11 tags in this unit, so not a ton of pressure. I'm going to click through and check out the data and see what's happening. And this looks like the herd health is pretty stable. So there was 73 tags in 2019, 72 tags in 2020, 71 tags in 2023. So they haven't really reduced quota by much. And for non-residents, it's been 11 tags for the last 4 years. So that's telling me not much has changed with this herd. Still got a healthy herd there. They're not having to drop the quota. And applications have actually gone down for non-residents. So in 2020, there was 50 applicants. And now in 2023, there's 22 applicants. And so in 2022, this was a unit. Now it's a 3 point unit. And so that's really important to me. That's showing this was a higher quality unit that doesn't have a ton of pressure. This might be one that I'm really interested in, unit 71. So then I'd look at the map and I'd play around with the map a little bit and see, okay, there's a bunch of BLM land. I know antelope live in the BLM land. Flat, fairly flat. That's good. That should be easy to get around. Looks like there's a couple county roads that go through the middle of some of this BLM land. So I should be able to drive my truck around and scout while I'm in there and not just be on foot the whole time. So this one might be something that's really interesting to me. And it's by Casper. I'm in northern Colorado, so this is probably only 4 or 5 hours from my house. So this one might be one that fits all my criteria. But without this data, I would just be shooting in the dark. I would just be guessing. I would probably look at the map. The old-fashioned way that I used to do this is I would look at a map and say, okay, what unit is close to Fort Collins? What unit is not too far away that I could go on a weekend hunt? And I would just apply. And those units right around Cheyenne, there's a lot of people. So they're harder to get. And there's a lot of private land. There's not a lot of public land. So back in the day, I would probably just waste my application. And I kept getting frustrated. I know this happened because I would put in for units and I wouldn't get the tags. For years and years, I wouldn't get the tags. Well, it's because I was putting in for units that required 10, 12 points. And I didn't have 10 or 12 points. Mm-hmm. Now when I look at this, I can figure out, okay, do I want to hunt this year? Where can I go and use my 4 points effectively? And without knowing that, I'm just basically wasting my draw, wasting the application dollars. I'm wasting the time and energy. And I'm just going to get a point and be frustrated. So again, my whole point here is have a strategy. Do more than just applying to the unit that's closest to your house or the unit that's by your buddy's cabin. Go and look at the draw, go and look at the harvest statistics, go and look at the herd health and find a unit that's going to give you a better quality hunt. Even if that means it might be a little further away, go for 4 days, bring a tent, get a hotel room. That's going to be a higher quality hunt potentially than the hunt that you're not going to get because you put in for a unit that had too much demand on it.
Interesting. Dude, this is a fascinating tool that really changes the game on application strategy and how you go about hunting. What do you say about the people that say all this technology is ruining hunting and draw odds?
I mean, there's always going to be detractors, right? There's going to be people that have said Onyx has burned their sweet little honey hole. But ultimately, it's made hunting more accessible. And by making hunting more accessible, more people will hunt, which means more dollars go into conservation, which means more management for these animals we love and that we want to chase. And ultimately, I think it's a net positive. I think the people that had their secret little honey hole because no one knew how to read a map back in the day or understood where public-private was, I think that that's an antiquated idea. We couldn't just keep this for ourselves forever. Mm-hmm. It's too important to recruit more people into this sport to make sure that we have it for our kids and their kids. If we just keep our honey holes for ourselves, unfortunately, this sport will die out. Less and less people will do it. So I think that this tool specifically helps people understand where they can hunt and where they can have a better hunt. My opinion is if you go out there and have a really kick-ass adventure and you go on a high-quality hunt, you're more likely to do it again. And you're more likely to tell your buddies and get them involved and take your son or your daughter when they're of age out into the woods. Like, I think by having quality experiences in the wilderness, you're going to fall in love with it and you're going to support it. And you're ultimately going to be someone who helps save our public lands for future generations. So I think the more people we can get involved. Now, that's not our goal at Onyx. Our goal isn't recruitment of new hunters into the sport, but I think that it's a byproduct, and I think that it's helped people feel confident, obviously going further away from their truck, further away from a trailhead. And with this data to help you figure out where to apply, we're not telling people where the honey holes are. We're not telling people what the best unit is. We're just trying to help people use their points effectively.
Yeah.
If you have 4 points, J-Mac, you shouldn't be applying for a 0-point hunt. That wastes 4 years of effort. You should be applying for a 4-point hunt. The reason a hunt takes points is because there's more demand on it. And if there's more demand on it, it's probably because it's a better quality hunt. Now, that isn't always true, but you should use your points wisely. And so I think too many people just put in for points for years and then accidentally burn them on a unit that is only a 1-point unit or a 2-point unit. And it's like, man, you could have done so much more with those 4 or 6 or 10 points. And so know your draw odds. These tools make it easy. You don't have to do math anymore. You don't have to download PDFs from the state and try to figure out what all the tables mean. You don't have to have your own spreadsheet. Like, this tool helps you understand all of that. And it's only going to get better as we get more and more data from these states and we get more and more states to be involved. We're going to help people understand where they can hunt. And I think that's a powerful tool. I don't know why there would be a detractor in that goal of helping people figure out where to hunt.
That makes sense. How do you go about it if you're applying as a group? So like you and I, you have 8 points, I have 3 points, and you're willing to hunt with me, even though how does that work when it comes to going through this?
Ultimately, my personal opinion is you should never apply as a group. Most states either take an average or more likely they take the lowest point. So if I have 8 and you have 3, when we apply together, my 8 points only count as 3.
Yeah.
I have to apply at your point level. And if we get a tag, all my points go away. So I can only realistically get a 3-point unit. Now, obviously, if it was the other way around and you could apply with me and you could get 8 points, it would be a win-win. But no state does it that way. And so ultimately, you're just burning points that are unnecessary. Now, the advantage of a group application is if one person draws the tag, everyone in the group gets a tag. There's a caveat, though. Some states will go over the quota. So if there's only 5 tags left and you've got a group of 10, they'll give you all 10 tags. Some states, however, if you are lucky enough to draw and you have 10 people in your group, there's only 5 tags left, you still don't get those tags. And so my opinion on that is have everybody apply individually to the same hunt, and whoever gets a tag, great, you're hunting. And whoever doesn't get a tag, they can make the choice if they're coming or not. I would still go and support. In Colorado, what's cool is like you could go on a hunt and there's a lot of small game that you can hunt during that hunt. You might not have that elk tag, but maybe you can get a leftover deer tag. Maybe you can do a turkey hunt if it's an archery or bear. There's a lot of add-on bear tags in the fall out west. So, you might not get that elk tag, but you might be able to be in elk camp with a bear tag and a turkey tag and a small game permit, which works for grouse and marmot and all sorts of other stuff.
I was going to say, we could just go grouse hunting.
Yeah, you can go have a kick-ass hunt, even if you're not the one with the tag. So my opinion is have your whole group apply to the same unit, but do it individually. Now, don't take my advice. There's lots of great people out there to talk to that are smarter than me. Go to Hunt Fool. Go talk to the guys at Hunt Fool. They are geniuses when it comes to helping you plan how to apply and where to hunt. And so, give them a call. I think that is a real benefit. Give the guys at the Park Service a call, in Colorado, CPW, or in Montana, FWP. Call the guys at the office and ask them these questions of where they have better odds if they're going in with a group and what their group rules are. Again, before you apply as a group, understand, is it the lowest point value? Is it an average? If they don't have enough quota, do you still get the tags? So that's a challenge. If you have 10 guys and there's only 8 tags in the unit. Your group's not getting those tags.
Right.
So you might be wasting an application season again. So make sure you do your research. Learn how the state runs their draws. That's crucial.
That's good information and great perspective. Are you going to burn an extra point to hunt with me in Wyoming since you have 5, I have 4? Or is that gap is close enough?
That gap for me is close enough. I mean, if it was like 10 points to 4 points would be different, but 5 to 4, there's probably not a ton of opportunity for those units that are just require 1 point more that are that much better. So I would go with a buddy if you're that close. But if you have 15 points and your buddy has 3, you're most likely not hunting the same unit.
Sorry, I'm not sorry.
Yeah, sorry. You're coming on a grouse hunt and you're going to pack out my elk because I'm not going to burn 15 points on a 3-point unit. But again, people make that mistake every year. So, one of their buddies with 3 points will hear somewhere through the grapevine that this unit's 100%. Maybe it's because it's a 0-point unit. And so you guys just go in and you don't know that and you burn your 15 points. Now, I think most people with 15 points have some strategy under their belt because they've been doing this for 15 years. Mm-hmm. But you can get into this mistake with 3-4 points. There's significantly better units that take 3 and 4 points than there are over-the-counter units or 1-point units. So, I would say if you have 3 points and your buddy has 0, try to convince your buddy to come along and support and learn a little and get that deer tag, or get an antelope tag for later in the week. And hopefully once you tag out on elk, you can go chase antelope in the BLM. I don't know. I mean, that would be my suggestion, is try to get your buddies to come where you're going with more points rather than you going where they go and burn your points.
Ooh, I like that.
It's all about just getting out with your buddies. So if that's what it takes to go with your buddies, then do it. I always have a strategy and my buddies never do. And so I've always got points hiding somewhere. I've always got an extra tag in my pocket. This year my buddies didn't know that you could get an over-the-counter bear tag in my unit if you had an elk tag. And so I snagged one. They didn't know that happened. And we saw a bear come across us and I was able to harvest it. And they didn't have a tag. So, you can always put an extra tag in your pocket if it's a unit or a state that has those opportunities. So don't not go on a hunt just because you don't have the tag. We had a guy on our hunt last year that didn't have an elk tag. He screwed up his draw and he put in the wrong hunt code. He didn't draw it. He still came with us. He got to hunt with his uncle and they harvested a nice 6x6 bull. He got to come in with us. We took llamas into a wilderness area. So he got to have a great hunt. We saw coyotes. We saw porcupines. We harvested a bear. It was a great hunt, even though he didn't have a tag.
Mm-hmm. Man, you just gave so much high quality, high level information right there that I really hope everyone goes back and potentially listens to this episode twice or 3 times with your mapping software open and break it down. Because if you aren't ready to apply and we missed it this year, this podcast, we actually wanted to have it come out earlier in the springtime, just with schedules and podcast lineups. It just didn't work out. However, save this for next year. Save this for going into 2025. And really this year, use this year as opportunity of okay, where do I want to hunt?
Totally.
And how do you go about that? Are you I've never hunted this state, I want to start building points here? Or is it species specific? And
yeah. Well, first off, I'll say, go check out our YouTube channel too. We got videos on all this stuff, how to use the tool. We do webinars with the Hunting Fool guys, so they explain a bunch of strategy stuff. So even if it's not this year, for next year, make sure you're doing your research and getting into this tool. If you miss draws this year, go to Hunt Reminder. Hunt Reminder, you can put in every species in every state, and it'll send you a text message and an email a week before the draw and the day before the draw. So you never miss another draw again. I mean, that's free for any Onyx Elite member. Also, don't delete our emails. A lot of people ignore the Onyx emails. This time of year is super crucial. We send out an email a week before every major Western draw deadline to our Onyx members. If you have any interest in the West, or you've placed markups in the West, or you selected a Western species when you onboarded, we will send emails out to let people know there's a draw coming. There's going to be an email on Wednesday talking about the Nevada draw that's next week. So don't ignore that stuff. If you miss a draw, you just wasted a whole year. So a lot of states don't let you buy points retroactively. You have to put in for the draw to get a point. So, and the worst part is some states, after a couple of years, if you haven't put in for a draw or haven't hunted, they'll purge your points.
What?
You go back to zero. So you have to be doing this every year. Yeah, you have to have a strategy. For me, where I look to where I want to go, honestly, I look at adventures. So I wanted to do a wilderness hunt. I've always wanted to do a wilderness hunt, get away from the road systems, get away from people. And so I was looking specifically for a unit that I could do with my group of buddies. That was a 0-point hunt. So with 0 points, we would have a chance of getting a tag. Wasn't guaranteed. And I found a unit, and it was amazing. We took llamas in. We backpacked 12 miles in, set up camp. I harvested my elk, nice 6x6, 19 miles from the truck, which you should never do. But we had llamas, so we figured let's do it. And the llamas helped us get the meat out, and it was a ton of work, but it was amazing. So I'm looking for experiences more than I'm looking for where the elk or the deer or the antelope are for sure. Like, I know I can find them if I go into a place that has population and I'm willing to work hard. I want an experience. I want to we hunted at 13,000 feet last year with the llamas. I want to go do a desert hunt. I want to be down in desert canyons. Like, I want to go to Nevada and do a deer hunt in the desert. I want to do a bear hunt up in grizzly country, not for grizzlies, obviously, but I want to do a black bear hunt in Idaho or Montana or around Yellowstone somewhere. Like, I want to have different experiences. And so that's how I usually look at the map and I think, where do I want to go next? I've never been to the Panhandle of Idaho, right? Or I've never been to the Santa Fe area. I want to go hunt in New Mexico. And then I look at what can I hunt, and there's always some opportunity of something you can hunt.
Yeah.
You can go down to New Mexico and hunt cranes in the fall and in the winter. Like, that would be a cool hunt. There's all sorts of stuff that you can hunt. There's a bunch of exotics you can go hunt down there that are not impossible to draw tags for, like Gibbs buck and barberry sheep, and like there's all sorts of cool stuff. Javelina in Arizona that you can go do on an over-the-counter tag. So for me, it's about doing something different and not just doing the same hunt year after year.
Yeah. Oh, isn't Arizona Coues deer? That's a draw that we can still get into for this coming year. So, like, if you want to hunt Arizona Coues for this coming December or January, February, that doesn't close until
Arizona,
like June.
bighorn sheep, bison hunt, which would be super cool, hard to get, obviously, and then deer. That's June 4th, so that's coming up here in a month is their deadline. And so there's tons of deadlines still. Montana antelope is still open. California, all species, they haven't had their draw yet. Idaho still has their elk, deer, and antelope draw to come. Washington has all permits still open. Let's see here. Oregon's on the 15th. That's all species. Nevada is all species. That's on the 8th, so on Wednesday. Utah bighorn sheep is June 20th. So there's still a bunch of Western draws out there to put in for and potentially get. So I don't think you've missed it. Like Colorado, Montana, the big ones, Colorado, Montana, New Mexico, those are already passed. But Wyoming, but there's still a ton out there. And there's secondary draws, there's leftover lists, for people that think they missed. Like Colorado, for example, we have a secondary draw that comes up in June. And then in August, anything that's left over goes on the leftover list, and you can buy them technically over the counter. They're not called over the counter tags, but you can buy them online or at Walmart. And then we have over the counter tags. So there's a lot of things that you could come out west and hunt.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is super awesome. I'm really excited. So I'm team Loophole now. I'm big fan of Loophole optics. Always been from the state of Washington, them being Northwest favorites. But they just released their brand new rangefinder, which allows you to range a location and have that be uploaded as a waypoint into Onyx now.
Yeah, so that just launched last week, which is awesome. So we've got a bunch of integrations with partners right now. We've got an integration with Bushnell and their trail cams, Exodus, Scout Tech, I believe.
Are Tacticam reveal yet?
I don't know if we have Tacticam on there yet. I'll have to look, but yeah, Leupold is the next big one that just came out. So there's a bunch of integrations that pull data and information right into your hunt app to make it easier to analyze where you're going to be, what you're hunting. But the rangefinder thing is super kick ass. You can range your animal and it'll drop a waypoint right on your Onyx account. Once you have that animal on the ground, you can range them again. It'll drop a waypoint on your map so you know exactly where you're going. This always happens. You know, you cross a valley or have to go down into some brush and you can't keep line of sight on where you were, and it's really challenging then to do some terrain ID when you get back up to the other side to figure out where that animal went down. And so being able to drop a waypoint before you start walking in on that animal that you just took a shot at is priceless. It is so awesome to be able to drop that waypoint and know exactly where that animal should be, or at least where that blood trail should start if the animal moved off from where you may have hit it. Really cool tech, and we're super pumped to partner with Leupold on that. I'm a Leupold guy myself. All my scopes have been Leupold since I was a kid. I'm running some Vortex and some Sig binos these days, but this new Leupold rangefinder is pretty top notch, especially paired with your Onyx account.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. Like, if that's not an excuse to pick up a new rangefinder, you might as well. I guarantee this one feature alone is going to help with more game recovery
for sure,
than ever before.
Yeah, being able to drop a waypoint. You know, the hardest thing in Western hunting is you shoot across a lot of valleys. And then when you go down and across, you get lost in the trees a little bit and you don't come out exactly where you think you were. It's hard to tell where was that rock that was my marker or where's that big tree. You just can't, they don't look the same when you're coming up the slope as it did across the valley. So being able to drop a waypoint right where that animal is, and it's a high quality rangefinder. I think it's 5,000 yards on something reflective. It's like 3,000 yards on something not reflective. Like, that's better than anyone is shooting animals at. So you should be able to hit that animal, whether it's still on its hoof or it's down, and be able to walk in on it with confidence.
Yeah.
You know, I think it'll help a ton with stalking too. It'll help a ton with sighting in. Like, there's just a ton of benefits that you can use this technology for, where it drops that waypoint immediately into your Onyx account.
Yeah, man, super excited. Super excited. This, you're a phenomenal guest, by the way.
I love coming on this podcast, man. This is great. It's like hanging out with a buddy rather than like doing work, you know?
Oh,
awesome.
That's what it's supposed to be like, man. Just hanging, kicking it.
Plus, you're wearing a tank top, and I like that you got these dad guns, you know? So, yeah, it's good. If this was truly work, you'd have to wear something a little different, I assume.
Yeah, right. No, this is 100% pleasure the entire time. It is an absolute pleasure having you on, brother. Is there anything you want to cover before we wrap this up?
No, man. Go check out Hunt Research Tools. Check out our application season partners in Hunt and Fool and Hunt Reminder. Again, you get all that stuff for free with your Onyx Elite account. There's so much to Onyx Elite. It's not just 50 states versus one. You get a ton of pro deals on a bunch of industry brands like Vortex, and I think Leupold's on there, the Meat Eater brands. I mean, there's just tons of stuff that you get with Onyx Elite. And the biggest part of that is you want to have a successful hunt this fall, start planning today. Find out where you're going to go harvest that animal before you apply for a tag. And just get into the data. I think the hunters that are consistently successful are guys that do this e-scouting. They do this application season research. They are thinking of hunting year round. And that puts them at the right spot opening day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I already, just through hearing you speak, me being on my software while you're talking, I feel more confident moving forward also. Like, I'm ready to be like, okay. Because before I was like, antelope in Wyoming, I have no contacts there. It's not like I can call a buddy and be like, hey man, you know, like, what do you think? Like, it is ground zero. So now I actually feel like, okay, I have an idea. Now, is that where I want to go? Will we draw? You know, who knows what life is going to bring? But at the same time, it's like, okay, that's taken care of. Just do my part, and everything will start falling in place. So,
yeah, I mean, use the app. Find BLM land. you want to find a lot of land. There's antelope everywhere in Wyoming, and you want to be able to have access. So just make sure you find a unit that has a bunch of public land that you can drive around on. That hunt takes a lot of driving. And so you want BLM, you want county roads that you can drive around, so you don't have to burn a bunch of energy trying to walk. You want to be able to put eyes on the ground the first few days and really get a lay of the land. And with 4 points, there's a ton of units that you can basically guarantee you're going to get your hands on a tag.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
come out, let's do it. It's going to be awesome.
So awesome. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you feel motivated and ready to dominate moving forward. Remember, you need to start having a strategy for hunting out west and application season and all that. If you guys want to know more, go check out the Onyx Hunt YouTube channel. A lot of there. Also, if you are an elite member, is it only for elite members that get access to the master classes?
No, anyone can sign up for the master classes. There are some elite only master classes. Like right now, we have a turkey series that is elite only, but all the hunt research tools, webinars, and all the stuff with Hunt and Fool is all available to anyone. If you can't make the master classes, we publish them on YouTube the next day, so you can always watch them at your own pace. But come to the master classes because you can ask questions live with the experts, and we always do some sort of cool raffle or giveaway. This year we were giving away the new Weatherby shotgun. We were giving away lifetime memberships to OnX. Like, there's always some cool stuff that we're giving away. So check out those master classes. We've got them almost every week on different topics, whether it's turkey hunting, whether it's how to master the app, whether it's how to get more out of your app as an advanced user, whether it's application season or e-scouting. There's a ton of master classes. Yeah, so check that out as well.
Love it. Love it. Good job. Mr. Ronto, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in. Guys, if you found this podcast to be beneficial towards you in your journey in hunting, please go leave us a rating and review. Go click thumbs up, leave a comment, all that. Also, go support OnX because they are supporting you with public land access and everything conservation related. For Mr. Ronto and myself, thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys have a blessed application season of what's left of it, but at least for 2025, looking forward. Remember that season 4 of Soul Seekers, the show, is launching and has been coming out this spring on Carbon TV. Go catch up on the latest episodes. We actually have a duck episode coming out tomorrow, I believe. So, well, tomorrow as in when I'm recording this, but by the time I release it, it'll be a week after. So I apologize, but go check out the episodes, season 4, Soul Seekers, and follow along with the podcast. You can also go to soulseekersnation.com. Check out the different articles we have there. And also go check out the shop. Pick yourself up a hat or a shirt for this coming hunting season. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Johnny Mack, Paul Ronto, OnX, and everyone, be blessed. Freedom on. Remember, hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure. Be blessed. Over and out. If you enjoyed today's podcast and want to support the show, you can always like, share, subscribe, and leave a rating as it helps us share our mission of mentorship is conservation. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of Soul Seekers Nation as we transform lives through primal adventure. If you want to get more connected with the podcast, check out the Soul Seekers Nation Facebook group as I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. So stay tuned and stay soulful.